Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I am back again today doing another video, and the subject of today's video is going to be focused on the 2020 NBA Finals, and specifically I'm going to be talking about the different legacies that were basically altered or enhanced or worsened by being in the 2020 NBA Finals. And just to start off, I'm going to basically say I don't think that there were any teams or specifically players or coaches whose legacies were tarnished by being in the 2020 NBA Finals. You might be able to come up with some sort of a thing like Tyler Hero played really bad or Duncan Robinson didn't play very well for most of the series, but really, those guys are in their second year or rookies, so you don't really hold anything against them. Jimmy Butler was really tired in Game 6 and didn't really do anything, but also he had put in so much effort in previous games that you can't really fault him for that. Um, and same thing, like it's not like Eric Spoelstra did a bad job coaching. He just didn't have the two best players in the series. But overall, I think on the other side of things, players and coaches' legacies really got enhanced a lot by this finals. Specifically, starting out, I think from the Heat side, Eric Spoelstra's legacy really got cemented as possibly the best coach in the NBA right now and a legendary coach all time. This is really one of the most underrated and basically this finals team was not expected to get here. Probably the most surprising finals appearance since the Knicks in 1999. They're the first lower seed to make a final since the Knicks. This is a team that reminded, I think, me and most other people a lot of like the 2004 Pistons or the 2011 Mavericks. Sort of a team that was comprised of just a lot of really solid role players who knew how to play their role and do what they needed to do. And ultimately, they didn't win the finals, but they got really close. I would say, besides Spoelstra, the other person on the Heat side whose legacy was significantly impacted would be Butler. Probably, I think, in almost everybody's eyes, very positively impacted. A lot of people now consider him like guaranteed top 10 player in the league. I'm still not necessarily sure about that, but I think he's definitely in the conversation and he's definitely super clutch and he can back up what he says about I only care about winning. That's definitely backed up now at this point. Um, yeah, he just between the 40-point game and then game 5 where he just would not quit and I think he had like 35 points and a triple double. That was definitely both games were proving that he is a very very legit player and um, that it's true. All he cares about is winning. It seems like, and that he's definitely a leader and a playoff performer. Um, so that's really all I have from the Heat side. From the Lakers side, I think there's a lot of legacies impacted. Weirdly enough, I don't think LeBron's legacy is actually that impacted. I think he was kind of expected to win this series, and because he did, I think nobody's opinion of him really changed that much. Because he kind of just did what he was supposed to do, and it's arguably his least impressive title win. Okay, it's impressive from the perspective that they had to do it during the bubble, and there was a lot of challenges with that. But just with purely the teams he played, and from that aspect, I think it's probably his least impressive title. I think collectively the teams he beat were probably the least talented of any of the teams he's ever had to beat to get to a finals. Like I look at, I would say like that Bulls team and that Mavs team were each a bit better than the Heat. I would say in 2011, that is. I'd say in 2012 that the Thunder were better than any of the teams he faced here. I'd say 2013 the Spurs were better. 2014, I mean, these aren't all title teams that he won championships with, but they're just teams that he got to the finals that he had to face to get to the finals in those years. 2000, obviously, there's no team that's ever going to be as good as those Warriors teams that he had been facing in the finals for 4 straight years. So yeah, I don't really think his legacy is actually that much more boosted than it already was. It's just kind of like another accolade, but probably the least impressive of any of his championships. Frank Vogel solidifies himself as like a really good coach. Probably not all time, but I think definitely like a top tier coach in the league. And I think people before kind of question him like, is he old and outdated in his philosophy and approach? And I don't think that's the case. I think he's like very with the times and knows what he's doing. Um, Besides that, I think Let's see here, other players who were greatly impacted. Obviously, AD is now gone from like an average player to, or like an average superstar to like a bona fide all timer, I think. Sort of what I mean by that is I think that he went from, I think basically, I'm trying to think of who, I guess KG. He's kind of like on the KG level now, like really good offensively, borderline defensive player of the year player, also has a ring, no finals MVP, but a very critical contributor on a finals team. So I think him and KG are kind of like equal in their place in the pantheon right now, and it'll be interesting to see how in the years to come if that's impacted, if he wins another title, if he goes up that list and surpasses somebody like Kevin Garnett. Besides Anthony Davis, I think the two other players whose legacies are really positively impacted are Rondo and Dwight Howard. Both are guys who had been much maligned in recent years, and now Rondo kind of proves, hey, I'm not just a nutcase. I can actually win and contribute to winning and be a really impactful player on a winning team. Obviously, he had a great game six, so that definitely rang true. And as for Dwight Howard, kind of the same thing, and kind of a dude who was going to be a Hall of Famer anyways, but I think this is basically like this, it's like guaranteed, solidified. It's a done deal now. Like I think Dwight Howard is for sure a Hall of Fame player. And to me, this title for Dwight and even for Rondo was very much similar to Gary Payton winning on the Heat. Like at that point, Gary Payton is kind of past his all-star, superstar career time, and he's in just a time period of his career where he's like a very solid role player and still a significant player who's impactful, but he's not going to be the best player on a team. He's probably going to come off the bench, but he's still going to give you really good minutes and be really solid. So like how Alonzo Mourning and Gary Payton contributed on that '06 Heat team, that feels a lot like what Rondo and Dwight were to this team. Besides that, I think, people like J.R. Smith adds another title. He didn't really do anything to earn it, but, he gets one. Um, Danny Green and JaVale McGee each get their third title, and I think they can, Danny Green obviously didn't play very good, and JaVale barely played in the finals, but you can both say that with both guys, there's a very strong correlation between them and winning nowadays, which speaks good for them that they at least, especially for JaVale, who had a lot of negative criticism earlier in his career, he can now like bona fide say he's a dude that definitely contributes to winning. Same sort of deal with other basket cases like Dion Waiters and Markieff Morris, dudes who have been kind of pointed at as basket cases. I think now they can back it up and say like, hey, I contributed to a winning title team. Like, stop giving me so much flack. Um, so let's see here. Besides those guys, same sort of thing with KCP a bit in that people give him a lot of flack, but I think now that he's like was basically the third best player on the Lakers in the finals, people can't really be too hard on him. Um, Kyle Kuzma, I don't think his legacy will really be that much impacted. Same with Caruso. Um, their legacies getting impacted will kind of be like what Dellavedova's legacy getting impacted on the Cavaliers in 2016 was. Like, yes, he contributed, but like nobody thinks of that as like Dellavedova's title. I'm trying to think of some others, but I think that's basically it, guys. So I think overall, like basically nobody had a negative impact on their legacy from this finals. A lot of really positive outcomes, and yeah, it's really awesome to see. And congrats to the Lakers, and also hats off to the Heat. They did a great job. And that's really all I got for today, guys. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.